Hi, welcome. We're on to part two, Rookie and Jacqui. Let's talk allergies. I'm Jacqui McPeak. My business is Jacks Limited, and I provide training, audits, and support for businesses on the subject of allergens.
Hi, I'm Rookie Davies. I'm from Womby's Kitchen. I am head chef of the specialist allergy food creation. So this week we are going to talk about growing up with an allergy and having a child who's going through school with an allergy, and the kind of things that you need to be thinking about, or the kind of things that kind of put me off or have put me off. So my son is now in senior school, but he's obviously been through the whole of junior school with his allergy. At that point, obviously there's a lot of stuff that's under my control. He used to have packed lunches every day because the menu that they had at the school, and I know it's different as you go up, and Jacqui, you can talk about this in a sec, but the menu wasn't very catered for someone with a dairy allergy. It was a really bad menu. They used to sit him on his own when he had lunch so that they could keep an eye on him. So his friends would all be sat over there and he'd be sat on a table on his own. You know, there's lots of things that used to really isolate him in junior school. They used to have French Day, or every now and again they do a themed day at school, and they'd make lots of food. They didn't even tell me about it so that I could bring some food in for him, and he could participate with food that was safe for him. So there's all these things that I don't think were designed to make him feel excluded, but they did make him feel excluded. And as he's getting older, obviously now in senior school, things have changed a little bit. So he's not having packed lunches, so he does have to take his own he does have to take responsibility for getting food at school, but he doesn't want to ask people about what's in the food. The school do know about him. They've got a photo of him in the canteen like they do of all kids with allergies, but it's trying to get to the point that we can make it easier for them to find things that are safe for them, without making them feel different. Nathan doesn't want to wear a wristband that says he's got an allergy anymore. So if he was to have a reaction and he was in school or even out of school, how would anyone even know that he was having it and that there was something that needed to be done? Would a stranger even go and give him an EpiPen? I don't know. I did put a question out on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, and I got some really great responses, and I put a video of how it worked. But you just don't know. There were some people that said that they don't like needles, so they probably wouldn't go and help a stranger who was having an EpiPen, if it was who needed an EpiPen. So there's all these things that, as he grows up and takes control of his life, I need to be preparing him for, and I'm trying. But I think that the surroundings around him could be better. In school they could do other things. So you tell me, Jacqui.
Yeah, so
you encountered as well, because you've had a daughter obviously going through this from
so slightly different for her because she was 14, 15 at the time. So at that time I just resorted to sending her in with packed lunches because it was easier, because I knew, and at that time we were trying to find out what was causing the issues, because she had multiple allergies and intolerances, not life-threatening, but were making her poorly. So we didn't even go there with school. And in fact, some schools, well, I know most schools won't accept instructions unless you've got medical proof of the allergy. So at that stage, we wouldn't have been catered for in the school anyway. So I just managed putting together some very innovative packed lunches for her. Quinoa salad at the age of 15.
Very nice.
Because
my son would not go near it.
Yeah, she's quite good actually. And used to say, "Yeah, that's fine. I'll give it a go." And she was quite good, because bread was a real issue. She couldn't do any of the gluten, so we had to be quite innovative with her meals. So, but from the other side, I do training in schools, and obviously schools is a big area because lots of children now have got severe and multiple life-threatening allergies. So it's not just the one, or the nut allergy or the milk allergy. They've got a couple. So it is a big issue, and I've been told that a number of staff are so worried about the responsibilities they've got, they're starting to leave the industry because, to be fair, they didn't sign up for this. They signed up for a little part-time job to help in the local school, and suddenly they're now responsible for severe allergies. So the training is really, really important. But the schools that I've worked with have been really, really responsible. And you talked about your son being isolated. There was one school where a little boy had a fish allergy. So on the Friday when fish was served, he had to eat in a separate classroom, isolated from everybody else. And this was in infant school. So one of the school helpers sat with him. but in the playground it was kind of like, you know, a video game, trying to keep him away from all the other children, because young children, you know, when they play, they hug and they, you know, hold hands and run around together. So his allergy was so severe that we're so worried about this. So we talked recently about the local about the allergen accreditation scheme at Lancaster University. So moving on, then, you know, a number of years, there's a boy there who's got a severe fish allergy. So one of the kitchens there has stopped catering, stopped all fish products in that kitchen, so they can fully cater for him. So no fish Friday, no sauces with a hint of fish in them, no Worcester sauce even, which contains, you know, anchovies. So it's completely fish-free kitchen, which is actually amazing. So this, you know, young student can go in there without fear of any reactions. And because it's a campus-based university, they have another kitchen where fish is served. So if somebody wanted to go and have fish, they can do. So the choice is still there. But
Yeah,
going back
I
to
think that's important.
schools, yes, they take it really, really seriously, but sometimes they get a little bit overwhelmed with the variety of allergens, and obviously there are some that are outside the top 14. So things like strawberries, kiwi fruit, you know, potatoes, that type of thing. So they have to be a little bit more innovative, and sometimes, you know, they haven't got the budget sometimes for providing lots of different meals, you know, which can be quite difficult. And on the other hand, I've worked with LACER, which is the organisation supporting school caterers, and I work with their allergen policy, putting it together with them, the code of practice. And some parents actually were making it really, really difficult. I was astounded because apparently one parent wanted their child to have the same three choices that other children have, because they didn't want them to be discriminated against. Well, that's just not fair, you know, in the
No.
current climate, you know, costs and budgets, etc. So I think parents have to be a little bit more understanding, you know, in some cases. In terms of the identification, yes, they do. And I've seen this kind of gallery of allergy children. It's quite sad, really. It's kind of in the kitchen, the rogues gallery of children with allergies. And sometimes
It
there's
is.
quite a big, long, you know, big, long list of them, you know. And to be fair, that the majority of staff do know the children, you know, and they talk of them fondly. Oh, we know him, he's got this allergy, we always look out for him. But actually, in senior school, their concern is that when the child grows up, they become a little bit overconfident, and they've got as far as the till and they said, I'm sorry, you know, you can't have that dish. We know you can't have that. Oh, it's my choice. I'll be fine.
Oh,
And that's naughty, and they can't do anything about it. You know, apart from have a fight with a kind of 6 foot teenage boy at the till, because on the till they have the technology where, you know, if they have fingerprint payments, which a lot of the children have, their profile comes up and it will tell them what they can have and what they can't have. And they say, well, you know, you've got this chocolate sauce or whatever it might be. You can't have that. Well, it's my choice. I'll be fine.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah.
I think that's
And,
really
and this is,
dangerous.
yeah, really worrying for the staff who have done all the work, they've done the training, they're really, you know, concerned. But the teenage young person doesn't want to be that child anymore, starts to experiment.
Yeah,
So it's
definitely.
more controlled in infant and primary school.
Yeah.
And I've had cases where, you know, the child is actually always with somebody when they're in the queue, which is quite sweet, you know, and they accompany them through the queue and they help them choose and they take them to the seat. They sit with other people, but they make sure they get that proper prepared meal for them. And in the case of EpiPens, we've spoken about this, and also in training, I've stressed the importance of EpiPens and how we have to get that injection to them quickly. But they've said that the EpiPen is stored perhaps sometimes in the headmaster's office, which is down the corridor and around the corner. And, you know, what if a headmaster's out at a meeting? How do they get in there? So there is a concern about location of spare EpiPens in schools. But interestingly, I've been working on a project with a colleague of mine, Emma, who's a nurse at St John's College, Cambridge. And as a nurse there and dealing with students with severe allergies, she's really concerned that actually we're not allowed to have spare EpiPens in universities at all. It's against the law because they are considered, well, they're considered adults over the age of 16, and it's up to them to have the spare medication with them.
Some places are allowed to have them though, aren't they? Because I know that, I don't know where that I've heard of it, but there are some places that do have a couple of spare ones.
Well, by law they're not. So we actually went to see a representative of Parliament, MP, about 18 months ago to talk this through with him. And he was very, very supportive and likened it to the defibrillators you see at railway stations. And he said, yes, we will start to push this through. But of course, the world's moved on and it's now all about COVID, so that's taken a quite a big backseat really. But students are supposed to be old enough and responsible enough to manage their own medication, as it were. So that's that's the reason they can't store spare ones. And also on the subject of who would administer an EpiPen, again, it's been quite an emotive topic in my training class, because a few people have said, oh well, I wouldn't know what to do and I'd be frightened the family would sue me. And I said to them, well, if the person dies, then they'll be disappointed you didn't help. And if I was in that team, I couldn't stand by and watch somebody suffer. I would have to help. I said, but if you save that person's life, the family will say thank you very much.
Honestly, as the mum of a kid who carries an EpiPen, if he couldn't do it himself and someone else did it, oh blimey, yeah, I'd be eternally grateful. And if it didn't work, I'd still be grateful that someone tried. And that's, for me, that's what this whole thing is about. It's about raising awareness, isn't it? And trying to make people see, using the EpiPen is really simple. It's got very clear instructions on the side of it. And it's, you have to do 3 things really, don't you? Take off the cap, put it in, hold it in, and then rub the area. And I did a training video. It took me less than 30 seconds to talk the whole way, a minute and a half to talk the whole way through it. I think for me that's really key. And going back to the senior schools, he's not in senior schools, the kids aren't supposed to carry their own medicine around, but like you say, if it's held in reception or if it's held in someone's locked office, it's a real worry that they're not going to get it in time. So
time is critical, isn't it? Time's critical.
Absolutely.
I take the EpiPen with me to training sessions and would normally pass them round, but of course in COVID situations we can't pass it round, but I do take it and take some cleaning wipes. So if people want to hold it and touch it, they can do, but it's there for them to see, because sometimes people haven't even seen one before. But with the EpiPen, I always remember it's blue to the sky, orange to the thigh.
That's it. Yeah, I've heard that before as well. But you can't go wrong with it, literally. No. Only one end pulls off and only one end you can see that it's going to have the needle in it. So it's really important and so simple. So if you're in any doubt, use it.
Thank you. I think that's really, really helpful to raise awareness and to talk about things like this and to talk about your concerns as a parent in school. But my experiences of the schools that have done the training, they're actually really responsible, really caring. They want to get it right. They're worried and they're concerned, and they do all they can. And like I said, they do have this rogues gallery, which I do feel a bit sorry for, all these little children, the allergy children on a little frame on the kitchen. But
necessary evil.
And they do, look after them. They know which children have allergies. Even if your son doesn't carry his wristband in the school, then they will know him. They will know who he is, and they'll be well aware of his allergies. Because I think they realise that as they get older, that obviously they don't want to be seen with this. And in fact, I've heard us again in this group I was working with. One parent didn't want the child to be singled out, so didn't want him to wear his wristband in infant and junior school, and he didn't even know the extent of his allergies because he didn't want him to feel different. I mean, that's dangerous.
They are different, and I appreciate that schools have a lot to deal with, and there are kids with different allergies, and you've got all the normal kids, and there's more of them, so you want to just deal with them. But it is so important for these kids to feel part of the process and not to feel excluded. It makes a big difference to them. It really does. It's the small things that make a difference.
Good. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there for this week. So I'm not sure we decided next week's topic yet, but we will do. We'll be back next week with some more chats. I hope you've enjoyed it, and any questions, comments, and let us know if you're enjoying this little series. And have a good week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
See you next week, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.